The UK opposition leader Kemi Badenoch recently caused controversy by saying she no longer identifies as Nigerian. The Conservative Party politician was born in London to Nigerian parents but grew up both in Nigeria and the United States. Speaking on the Rosebud podcast, she said she was Nigerian by ancestry but not by identity. Badenoch, who returned to England aged 16, says she no longer renews her Nigerian passport. Last year, she faced criticism from Nigeria's Vice President, Kashim Shettima, who said she had denigrated the West African country after saying she had grown up in fear and insecurity at a time that Nigeria was plagued by corruption. She's been speaking to the BBC's Amol Rajan.
It's so difficult being a black conservative in the world. That's the truth. It's so difficult because you have to disown your own people. You have to speak ill of your own people. We see it all the time. In America, we see Black MAGA even supporting and defending racist remarks that are made by the conservative movement in America. Now, in the UK, this leader, Kemi, whose real name I think is like Ole Kemi, but she had to change it, Kemi, to sound more Western, is out here disowning her own country just to play into the conservative circles. It truly is a sad thing to witness, and we're going to cover this and look at another video also showing the reaction of the Nigerians, what they think about this daughter of Nigeria disowning them just so that she can be accepted by the white conservative movement. Enough talking, let's continue.
In preparation for this interview, I rewatched your maiden speech in Parliament, and you talked about growing up in Nigeria as an oil boom baby. There was a big oil boom in Nigeria, and there were also military coups. I think there was in 1983 and 1985, there were big changes to the system there.
Growing up in Nigeria, I saw real poverty. I experienced it. Living without electricity, doing my homework by candlelight because the state electricity board couldn't provide power. Fetching water from a borehole a mile away in heavy, rusty buckets because the nationalized water company couldn't get water out.
First of all, that's a lie. That is that is a lie. I mean, like, I'm gonna let her continue, but she is the daughter of a doctor. Her father, I believe, was a doctor. Her mother was a professor of psychology in a university. In what world was she fetching water in rusted buckets? Like, seriously, we have to be serious sometimes. I know she has to play a role of, the poor African walking bare feet with a huge belly and the flies are, all over following the kid. And, she has to play to this image of African. Oh, poor Kemi. Oh, look, Kemi. Like, it is so stupid. Now, I have to say this. I myself, I was born and raised in Africa. I will never in my lifetime disown Africa. I will never speak so ill of where I was born. Now, is what she's saying not true for some people? It is true in some cases. But this is the daughter of somebody who was a doctor. Even in Nigeria, I know if you've never set foot in Nigeria, some professions get paid more than others, and some people live in poverty, others do not live in poverty. This woman is a straight up liar. She's lying to play the role of this poor whatever. So that is why she's getting all this backlash. But let's continue.
To the taps. I was unlucky enough to live under socialist policies. It is not something I would wish on anyone, and that's just one of the reasons why I am a conservative.
Yeah. One of the main points of your maiden speech was the experience of loss. So born into a middle-class family, your dad was a doctor, your mum was a lecturer, and then your circumstances took a hit. What happened?
So, various things happened. The economy was managed by a government that didn't call itself socialist, but had lots of socialist ideals and ideas.
They controlled the economy.
Yeah, just pretty much full control of the economy, capital controls, fixed currency, etc. But the other reason was because the country itself is a low trust country. It's very multicultural, so lots of different groups. There is proper diversity in a way that many people don't recognize in the UK. Everybody looks the same, but different languages, different types of clothing, different customs. And actually, when you have people who retreat into lots of different groups, you create a low trust society. And when you have a low trust society, people think it's okay to cheat the system. And what happened to my family was that we didn't cheat the system. My parents would never take bribes. It was always about integrity. And we had a lot of people in our lives who got rich from, cheating the system, corruption. And my mum and dad said, we don't do that. People would offer my mother money to get their children into university. She was a lecturer at the best university in the country. She said no, other people did that. And so we ended up, apart from the economic crisis, just not personally enriching ourselves. And that meant that we lost quite a lot of money. And that has left me with a loathing of people who cheat the system.
Okay, so what she's saying, she just admitted she grew up in a middle-class family. But she's trying to say that because of how the society is, the corruption and all, they did not, she said, it enrich themselves. But they were still middle class. So where is it that a middle class is walking barefoot, barefoot, scratching their butt, going to, it's so ridiculous how minorities have to do this. I am saying this honestly. I've seen it with Indian immigrants. They go full conservative because they want to be accepted. Please, I am one of the good ones. Don't treat me like the others. That is what she's doing. She is trying to say, I am different. I am one of the good ones. Please, conservative people, accept me. I am British. Don't you see? I eat jollof rice just like the British do. We have to be serious sometimes. People need to get it in their heads. You will never be accepted as a minority in a conservative movement. You have to get it through your skull. You have to understand it. If you're a black MAGA, a MAGA supporter who's black, you will never, and I repeat, never in this lifetime be accepted. They will use you. Yes, they will use you because you serve their purpose. You are a conduit. You serve as a reason for them to say, hey, look, we have a black person here. Hey, we have an Indian person here. Hey, we have minorities also. But their policies will never accept you. That is something that us as minorities will never understand. We keep thinking that if we put down our community, if we put down, other people, they're going to like us. They're going to accept us. It is impossible. It is impossible. This movement is just in the name, conservative. They want to conserve how things used to be. This woman is an anchor baby. I'm going to say it to be honest, not to be offensive. She was born before UK stopped the automatic birthright citizenship. So she was born, and then like a year or whatever, 2 later, they stopped birthright citizenship. But now, she got her citizenship that way because they came and gave birth in the UK. But now she is like, okay, we have to stop birthright citizenship. We have to deport all these people. She's closing the door to others the way immigrants always do. It is shameful. It is disgusting because she will never be accepted. It doesn't matter how much she changes her name. It doesn't matter how much she tries to speak like a British person. It doesn't matter. She will not be accepted. She does not look British by what ideals of British is. You can ask anyone. But let's continue.
And Lagos, I know you moved around, but Lagos was a pretty dangerous place. You've talked about how it didn't matter that you were middle class because you could literally hear neighbours getting beaten up if they did the wrong things. What was that about?
The being middle class did not protect you from a military government. It was easier when the actual politicians came in. But when I talked about neighbours getting beaten up, that was, actual armed robbers going in that you could hear, and that everybody would be terrified. There was just a lot of lawlessness.
Crime.
Yes, it was crime and disorder, and you could hear it. And if you knew something was happening, everybody would batten down the hatches. And so so when I say I'm a conservative, it's not just because it's for fun. It's because I strongly believe in law and order. That's the stuff that the state needs to enforce. Strongly believe in personal responsibility. Strongly believe in a government not getting involved in all sorts of stuff that it doesn't need to, because quite often it messes things up.
Okay, so as you can see, she keeps on this idea. She keeps on playing a role. This is a role she's playing. She's playing her role perfectly to be like, this was happening. I'm a conservative, this. Please accept me. Please, people. Can't you see? I am dancing, I'm jiving, I'm doing all these things to be accepted by you. I am one of the good ones. Please accept me. Now, why am I complaining a lot about what she's doing? Because in my lifetime, I have never seen, let me use an example. I have never seen a white person disown their heritage. Never. I have seen some Irish Americans. I live in America, so let me use America as an example. I have seen some Irish Americans who have never set foot in Ireland. Their great-great-grandfather came from Ireland during the famine, and then they are still saying, I'm Irish American. They will never disown that. And they've never set foot even on Ireland. I've seen some Italian Americans who have never set foot in Italy. They don't even know where Italy is on the map. but if you go to New York, they're going to be like, I'm Italian American. You ask them where in Italy, Italy. There's even a comedy routine about that. But when it comes to minorities, when it comes to black people, when it comes to Latin, Hispanics, when it comes to Indians, when it comes to Asians, they are so quick to throw away their ancestry, their heritage, begging to be accepted by these countries that are white. So if you go to, ask a Polish guy, somebody who came from Poland or whatever, they will admit there might be some issues with their country, but they will never say, I am not Polish. A white person will never say, I'm not Irish, I'm not Italian, I'm not this. Hell, we have some people who were never even born in a certain country, but they said 3,000 years later, they are. Let me not talk about that country. You know which country I'm talking about, but I don't want to lose everything up that I own, because there are some countries you don't talk about, otherwise you will lose all your livelihood. But anyway, my point is, black conservatives and minorities, they beg and plead and disown and do all these things trying to be accepted by conservative movements in these white countries like MAGA, like, this conservative party in the UK. And the sad reality is they will never be accepted. If the conservative movement had its way, they would be deported. First thing, before they could even finish. You know what? Anyway, let's just continue.
When I was in Nigeria, people used to tell me, you don't belong here. So I wasn't just the SWAT in the class. I was the person who would say, that person is copying notes from the other person. I was the tattletale in the class, like getting people into trouble. Because even then I hated cheating, because there I was. I wanted to be first in the class, and I've done all the work. And then there's some people who are copying notes and saying, why should they get away with it? And so I'd raise up my hand. I remember there was this extraordinary day. I was in, I must have been about 14 or 15. And I said, he's cheating. I stood up in the middle of the exam, and I stood up and said, he's cheating, he's the one that's doing it. And that boy ended up getting expelled. And I didn't get praised for it. And I was a relatively popular kid at school. And he said, why did you do that? Why would you do that? And I said, because he was doing the wrong thing. And someone said, you don't belong here.
Okay, so as we can see already, she's really digging deep. She's digging deep. I am kind of proud of her, you know. I really am proud of her. You know, it takes hard work to sell your, you know, to be a complete sellout to this extent. Like, she got the British accent kind of, you know, down packed. Like, it's right there. She got the British look, you know, down packed. Like, she got it all British, you know, British English breakfast, you know, egg, beans. Like, she has it all down packed. But the sad part is she will never be accepted. But now let's go to this next video and try to see what the Nigerians are thinking about her comments. Because I've already said my part. I'm not even Nigerian. I've never set foot in Nigeria. Nigeria has a ton of issues, same as many Africans. They have a ton of issues in their countries. But what makes me sick to my stomach are people disowning their own lineage, trying to fit into others. I have zero respect for such people. But let's go to the next video. And as we watch the next video, please consider liking and subscribing.
My main identity is as British. That is what I see myself as. Nigeria is a nationality. It's not an ethnicity.
Meet Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the Conservative Party in the UK. Her parents are Nigerians, but she insists she's British. Badenoch is notorious for her critical views on Nigeria, which she says is corrupt and dysfunctional. Her statements tend to provoke Nigerians and other Africans. Many are perplexed. Some say she's just playing to the conservative audience who prefer Africans who don't act too African. Others say she's just being honest. But is it really that simple? And why do some Africans feel they have to disown their roots just to be accepted in the West? Welcome to the flip side.
What we call here an eye service is what she's doing. She does not have anything to offer. To me, she does not even have the integrity. Because a true Nigerian has an integrity. She's only trying to destroy where she's from, and it will not work.
The name Kemi is in Nigeria. It's a Nigerian name. So I am ashamed of her. Nigeria is not the worst country. To me, she's disgracing herself. She's not disgracing us. We are proud of ourselves. Where we find ourselves, we are proud of ourselves. Nigeria is a great country.
No country is 100% good, but she doesn't have to do it the way she's doing it. It doesn't speak well of her person.
Olukemi Olufuntu Adegoke.
Jesus is Lord. Olukemi Adewot. That's her real name. Olukemi Ade whatever Adebayo, like it's, and she changed it to Kemi. Kemi. My name is Kemi Badenoch. You feel me? I am from Westminster. I am friends with the Queen. Like, man, like the things people do to be accepted. It is just so sad, man. It is freaking sad how people are willing to sell out their own to be accepted. It's so sad, man. This is Kemi still playing this role, man. Begging to be accepted. And she's willing to throw everyone under the bus. She's willing to disparage her parents' nation, a nation that she's lived in. She's willing to do all that just to be accepted. But the sad reality is it will not happen. It will never happen. And it is something that has never happened. She keeps on saying how Nigeria has all these crimes. But when you look at it, if you ask a British person, British has a lot of knife crime. If you ask the white British, why they think the knife crime came from, the British person will say it came from people that look like Kemi. So she's out here begging to be accepted by the white conservative movement, saying how Nigeria is a shithole, it's all these things, but Britain, UK has its own issues with crime. If you ask somebody in the UK, where did the crime come from? They will say it came from immigrants like Kemi. So it is so sad, man. It's so sad how hard she has to try. In the end, it doesn't even matter. Like Linkin Park said, in the end, it won't matter, because no matter how hard she tries, she will always be Olukemi. No matter how hard she changes her accent, she will always be Nigerian in her blood. It's in her blood. But let's just finish the video. Let's continue.
Here in Niger, people they para over some of your comments, so them they wonder how it be for your head. So, like some would have it, is Badenoch racially conflicted, or does she hate her own African skin despite her success? And what if her approach is purely strategic, a way to fit into a political system in the West?
I think it's an emotional strategy, it's a psychological strategy. It's a mechanism for her to cope. I don't know how long, when last she came to Nigeria, people live in Nigeria, people are happy in Nigeria, irrespective of the challenges of development. You know, people are making progress in Nigeria. And of course, even British citizens live in Nigeria, and they are doing pretty well as well. Nigerian citizens are also in the United Kingdom, and they are doing well. And the two nations have very excellent relationship, considering our historical ties. If we have to look at the example of Rishi Sunak, and of course the example of Barack Obama, these were diasporic citizens, you know, one from India and the other one from Kenya, who migrated to their respective places of residencies and got to significant heights without necessarily denigrating their origin.
But the issue is not just about Badenoch, and it's not new. Africans have long had to confront the question of identity to thrive in the West. Frantz Fanon, the Pan-African thinker, called this decades ago. In Black Skin, White Max, he wrote about how colonized people learn to mimic the language, behavior, and mindset of their colonizers just to survive. He called it psychological colonization, and the cost is deep alienation.
There's a tendency for Africans to assimilate themselves. You know, we had this culture in colonial time of assimilation policy. Then Africans who migrate and who want to become leading light, sometimes there is an inverse effect. They become too hostile to their continent. They try to create a narrative of glory versus darkness. And they saw how they could become one of those saviors instead of becoming the savage. They try to overcompensate for their colonial status, and that has implication for how they view public policy.
Yeah, that's very true. The overcompensation, that's what I wanted to say. She's overcompensating. She's doing too much. She's doing too much to be accepted by people who will never accept her. It is quite sad. I see it all the time with immigrants, with minority immigrants who are willing to embrace conservative movements. They are willing to apologize for some racist terminologies, some racist beliefs that are championed and pushed by many conservative movements without even realizing it's in the name conservative. They want to conserve how things used to be. They want to preserve how things used to be in their country before, in the glory days. And that includes how they look, the look of the country. They want the country to remain white, to remain this way. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much you insult your people. It doesn't matter how much you insult your country, how much you insult Africa, how much you insult India, how much you insult Latin America, wherever you came from. It doesn't matter how much you insult it. The conservative movement, the heart of the conservative movement will never accept you because you are an outsider by how you look. Unless you go full Michael Jackson, you become white. But still, they will say you have a drop of minority blood in you. You are not pure white. So it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you change, you bleach your skin, you wear wigs, you speak British, you do all these things. Just be yourself. You can be a conservative, I guess, as a minority. I'm not saying you cannot. You can be, but you have to do it in a logical way. You have to do it in a logical way, preserving your identity, knowing where you stand. Because a man with no stance is lost. You are just a lost person out here, disparaging your people, disparaging everybody, trying to pretend I am one of the good ones, but you'll never be accepted. I'm sorry to break the news. Let's continue and finish this video, and as you watch, please consider liking, subscribing.
What about the Nigerians who say they actually agree with Badenoch? The ones who say they are tired of leaders who hide behind patriotism while corruption grows. They see her blunt assessment of Nigeria as absolutely refreshing.
What are you promoting about Nigeria? What are those things that are good about Nigeria? Is it the way the Nigerian culture is? Is it the politics of Nigeria? You look at the way the political structure is. What has it gotten Nigeria? So if somebody is critical, I think she was just critical of Nigeria, not just criticizing Nigeria. The thing with Nigerians and the black race is that we don't like facts. But what she's saying about the schools, about infrastructure, about those are facts.
That is not a fact. He is missing a point. He's missing the point. The point is she is not saying this to be like critical of Nigeria so that Nigeria makes a change and becomes a better place. No. She is saying all this to be accepted. That's it. She wants to be accepted and be like, hey, I'm one of the good guys. I'm one of the good ones. Please don't discriminate against me. Please don't. I am one of the good ones. Forget all this. She will throw this guy under the bus so quick if she could, just to be accepted. And that's the point this man is missing. She is not saying this because she loves Nigeria and wants Nigeria to change. No, she's already said she's not even renewing her passport. She's done with Nigeria. She's saying this because she wants herself and her family and her kids, her mixed race kids, to be accepted that she is one of the good ones. Now, if you like this video, let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know. Is she justified in what she's saying? Is she correct? She's not Nigerian. She's fully British. Or she's just out of her mind. Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and of course, share this on all the networks. I'll see you.
Oh my goodness, all the networks. Wow. All the networks.